The man has missed 6 games in 4 years. 6 games in 4 years.
Don't jinx him.
10 games in 5 years. He doesn't miss games. He shows up to work. And if you talk about loving Kyrie, but you can't have Kyrie, tell me somebody who's closer to Kyrie than Kemba in terms of their style of play and what they're capable of delivering. So I look at it from that standpoint. It's just that where I question whether or not it will be a big deal is that the kind of problems that the Boston Celtics had, does Kemba Walker resolve that? Because I don't view Kyrie as being the problem.
Kyrie was the problem. I don't care even if the players think it was Gordon Hayward. They're wrong, and the proof in the pudding is when Kyrie was on and off the court, the way the team operated. So, like, if that's the young players' fault because they needed to get on the same page, whatever. I don't care about whose fault it is. I know drop Kyrie in, they get worse. Take Kyrie out, they get better. And Kyrie's a great player, so it should never be that way. So the chemistry issue, whatever, the root of it's Gordon Hayward and the coaches, and this is what this player says. Bottom line is when Hayward's on and off the court, that's not what happens. When Kyrie is on and off the court, that's what happens. But Kyrie is an absurdly skilled player. As you say, the closest approximation to Kyrie Irving in the world is Kemba Walker. So if you're going to lose Kyrie, you replace him with a guy who's not as good, but almost the same thing, right? He's Kobe Bryant to Kyrie's Michael Jordan. Like, it's almost the same exact player, but not quite as good. Okay, but without the locker room problems? And he's sliding into a situation now where now Gordon Hayward will be a year farther removed from his injury. He might even be back to all-star form. And Tatum is in his 3rd year. We see this a lot with players. Great rookie season. League adjusts sophomore year. 3rd year, they're better than ever. In fact, I believe the Celtics will be better next year with Kemba than with the slightly superior player, Kyrie. I think it's a big deal.
Where are the Celtics going to finish next year? Kawhi comes back to Toronto. Toronto's better. You know, you talk about Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. Potentially they sign back with Philadelphia. Philadelphia's better. Milwaukee's better. Don't forget Victor Oladipo is coming back with Indiana. Like, look, when he dropped off, when he got hurt, everybody wanted to write them off. They were still a 3 seed for the longest time. Yeah. Like, and people need to give Nate McMillan props. Like, he did a hell of a job.
He could have been coach of the year.
He should have been up there, right? Yep. So my thing is, okay, are they 4th, the 5th? Like, and also, let's not forget, like, I think it's a great move for Kemba. I think it's a bigger conversation about Charlotte. If Charlotte doesn't give him the super max.
Well, that's because Michael Jordan's position has been from day one, I'm not triggering the luxury tax.
But what are we doing, Charlotte? What are we doing? Are we making some kind of move sooner or later to be relevant in the league? The one guy that wants to give you his heart and soul can't stay there in Charlotte because you don't want to be over the max. There are a lot of teams that go over the cap. I understand that. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. I hear that. It's another conversation.
What's the thing of the irony that Michael Jordan is the Michael Jordan of bad owners? It's amazing.
It's hard for me to go there because we don't have enough black owners in the league, and it's a hard point. But my thing is for Kemba in that situation, I don't know why you don't, and I hear what MJ says. Let me go back to the Celtics for 1 second. Here's why I think it's a good move for Kemba. I don't think the narrative has changed so much for the Celtics from last year. We talking about this team winning a world championship to now we're talking about them potentially being the 4th or 5th best team in the Eastern Conference. You don't have Al Horford now. I don't care what you say. On the court, he was your glue guy. In the locker room, he was the one guy that tried to keep it all together all the time. You don't have Aaron Baines. You traded him on NBA draft night to Phoenix. Like, you have a lot of younger pieces. I just don't think Boston is what Boston was.
By the way, do you have Marcus Morris?
That's a question too.
That's what
I'm saying. The narrative has changed so much,
last year is they had such a stacked
Why don't we talk about management when it goes to Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens? We need to talk about that more.
I'm the one that brought that up. I brought it up the other day. I've been bringing it up because people want to ignore that. But I'll tell you this. This is the one plus if you're Boston about Kemba. Clearly, he would want to be there if he were to come because he's a free agent. So he's choosing to sign, which means, Max, that the drama that you alluded to would have dissipated because Kyrie was traded there, whereas in Kemba Walker's case, you're free to go wherever you want, and you elect to go there. So you'd be more incentivized to make it work. Outside of that, I don't see anything. And I look at the Boston Celtics right now. Again, I don't expect them to be the same team. And I'm going to tell you again, if Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge insist on taking care of people as opposed to putting the best, more qualified product on the floor, you're going to have a problem when Kemba Walker arrives there too.
Al Horford is a tough loss. I don't know how you replace that. He's an underrated player, though he had a bad season, both ends of the floor. Like, people don't pay enough attention to defense. It's half the game. It's literally 50% of the game, and he's a stalwart on defense, Horford. Can do a lot of things. That's a tough thing to overcome. But let's not forget, which players are ascending and descending. In fact, Hayward, compared to last year, will be ascending. Brown should be ascending because everyone's now going to get more touches, but especially Jason Tatum is a little different. He's the kind of guy, when you look at him, you go, that could be the primary option on a championship team on offense. And I expect the ascension of Tatum this season to offset a lot of the losses.
Well, I think he will ascend this season. Last year was a bad year, but it wasn't because of his game. It was because he was so miserable from the opening of the season on. He was miserable. Miserable.
Are they going to get more touches? Kemba plays very similarly to the way Kyrie plays. His usage rate is pretty off the charts. He's used to the ball being in his hands all the time to make plays happen. Now, I'm not saying some of the off-the-court or on-the-court drama is going to occur because I think Kemba just wants to win. But I don't know stylistically if it's going to change that much.
Gordon Hayward's not a guy you need to run plays with. When he's healthy, he can get out in the open floor and kind of score in transition and doesn't really need the ball as much as some other guys. I actually think the same thing of Jaylen Brown. If you look at an offense and you go, can Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum going forward be a kind of powerhouse championship contender heart of an offense? Yeah, that's a little big that would seem on paper to work to me.
That's fine. All I'm saying is that we were talking about them last year winning a championship. Now we're talking about, hey, what's our future going to be like in
They're losing a lot of guys.
3-4 years? Drastically. I think that has to be a reflection upon them.
One thing you notice about Kyrie, as great as he was, when he was driving into the lane in those land of trees in Milwaukee, it was a different animal. No matter how great you are, there's something to be said for that. Those miniature dudes, regular season is fine. Postseason, when they clamp down on you and trees are surrounding you, it's a different world.
Different.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.